Welcome to the InGeneral podcast, episode 92. My name's Jack, and I'm joined with Chris and Assis.
Hey, we're back.
I told you it was going to last this time, boys and girls. I told you it was going to last.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, this is only the second.
This is episode 3, and this is the third episode on schedule, so honestly, we're back.
I mean,
again.
Yeah, we are.
I mean,
New season, baby.
We're doing better than the last time we said this, I think.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I think so. The consistency is key, but however, welcome. It's been a bit of a slow month, but there has been one important thing that was a bit of a disappointment, right? The Jake Johnson news.
Yes. Heartbroken. Literally my favorite character from Jurassic World. No longer a thing anymore, I guess.
Yeah, so what was said? Was he interviewed? I think that's what
Yes.
it was,
I think,
right?
he was doing like an interview, and like he had to do like this show, and like COVID just got in the way, and he wasn't able to come to like England or wherever they were filming.
Yeah. So like he was in the script, and I guess like he was kind of throughout the story a little bit, and I guess it's basically what ended up happening is when COVID happened, and they had to delay filming. The new shooting schedule just was not able to align with his other engagements, as well as like his like home life and everything like that. So while they tried to figure out a way to make it work, they ultimately had to end up cutting. And I guess they kept trying for a while, because I remember when they were filming on like after they took the hiatus due to COVID, he was still saying, "Oh, we're trying to make it work. We're trying to make it work." So what I'm really curious is like, however his character was in the story, apparently, like what they've done with that role. But ultimately, yeah, no, he couldn't make it in.
Like, the question is, was he such a consistent role in the film, or was it easy to cut out? Because obviously they had a lot to change with COVID and how they filmed Dominion. The whole filming process would have been different anyhow. But piecing that movie together with a character that you're not sure is going to be in it or not, I don't know. Was he background? Was he just kind of
It
tagging
must have been
along?
a small role, man. It must have been, right?
Yeah.
I would assume it was like something like Jurassic World, where he was like in a control room or something like that, where he was like more isolated and kind of like with maybe a batch of characters or something like that. But then the question is, did they just cut that? Was it not necessary? Did it only exist to give him screen time? Or was he filling a role that has now gone to somebody or multiple somebodies? Somebody else?
So usually when that kind of thing happens, right, they'll either give the lines and the role kind of to somebody else's character, if it's obviously not too big a character, or they'll recast it. And I wouldn't doubt that they had so many like backup crews on Dominion ready to go if somebody got caught COVID, that I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of had another actor in mind for his role, or somebody else to kind of take it on, sitting in the wings, or
if they just merged whatever
or
his
if they
character.
merged it, yeah. But so he said, he bluntly said, "Well, unfortunately, I'm not in the third one. Well, I was written in, so it's announced that I was. But what happens was the pandemic hit. I was in it. So Colin had written a great part. Lowery came back. It was a great conclusion. I was excited to do it. The pandemic hit at that time. There was a 2-week quarantine. It was a bunch of stuff that I couldn't get out and leave the family. And they kept trying to make it work, which was the last thing we heard about, right? They were trying. And in the end, the dates just didn't work out for that one, which was heartbreaking, because apart from being in that movie, Colin's a very old friend. And obviously, safety not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that's,
Great.
I think that's
literally
why...
watched it. Fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think that's when Colin got announced for Jurassic World, everybody flogged to Safety Not Guaranteed. And seriously, that movie is still
it's a good movie.
It's so good, dude.
Really is. So it is curious. He had a really good role in Jurassic World. Listeners will likely remember that I don't hold a very high opinion of Jurassic World, but one of the things that I do love about that movie is Jake Johnson. His chemistry and just his commentary on the movie itself, and everything that Claire was doing and the park was doing. He almost represented the audience in a way, looking back on it. But he was just funny. He's a really great actor, and I wanted to see him outside of the control room, either in a jungle or on location somewhere. I think that would have been cool, and I think it's something that, correct me if I'm wrong, his actor hasn't done anything insanely like serious before.
Well, not serious, because he still played a comical role, but he was in action scenes in The Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy.
We like to forget about that movie, though.
Yeah,
Also, don't forget about the fucking American classic, Let's Be Cops.
Oh, snap, he was in that. Yeah,
The classic movie.
That is an absolute classic. That's more of a
love that
classic than
movie.
Jurassic
So
Park,
fucking
but
funny.
that's not hard.
Yeah.
But it is sad, man. I mean, do you think there's potential for him in future installments?
I hope so, man. Big fan of the Lowery character. Big fan of Jake Johnson. Everyone knows this about me.
Honestly, if they were to, like, after Jurassic World Dominion, I think that they would probably want sort of like a fresh roster of characters with only a few, like, kind of like taking maybe a few side characters. And like the way they took Dr. Wu from the first films as like connective tissue, and obviously he has a very big role to play. I don't know if Lowery would be as critical and core, but he obviously has a lot of, knowledge about Jurassic World, the park, and I think that he could probably offer. He could offer things in the story, depending where they went with the story. I think that he would be a character that'd be fun to bring in a small supporting role as like connective tissue. So I think that he's a character I'd like to see. Like, oh yeah, they've got something new going on, and Lowry's in it at least, and maybe in a small role, in small doses. Don't try to turn him into the hero, because it's not that the actor can't do it; it's just the character doesn't make sense.
Well, what about if he was in a fucking TV show?
Well, yeah. See, the TV show thing is like, honestly,
right?
That seems to make the most sense for the future, and I think that he'd be a great fit.
Because it would almost be like Doctor Wu. Bringing Doctor Wu back for Jurassic World was like the connective tissue it needed from the original. If whatever it is, whether it's a movie or a TV series or a web series or something, bringing Jake Johnson back from the first Jurassic World, considering he wasn't in the second two, that's a nice, again, connective tissue.
Yeah.
He was at the original park that broke down, and now we're in a Jurassic World where dinosaurs are everywhere, and he was there at the scene when that went down. That's like a nice thing, and yeah, wouldn't make him a lead, but have him as a really solid supporting actor that either guides something or leads this.
In theory, he has a wealth of knowledge about Jurassic World, about InGen, about even Jurassic Park. He would be type of character that would probably work in the control room, but also just know about things. So if there was something going on and they needed to investigate something or who knows what, he'd be that person to go, well, InGen had the blank division and they did this, or we had this technology, or this guy worked for us, he'd be a great person, or there's a secret that we need to uncover. Well, I saw something shady back in blah, blah, 2011.
Yeah.
He's just like that character that would conceivably have a wealth of knowledge, especially because he was like a super fan also like working there. So that he dug his nose into everything.
That's it. He probably has a wealth of secrets that he's held on to. Because, I mean, if he stayed in the control room, he wanted to stay right to the bitter end as well. He probably saw a lot on those cameras that people wouldn't want to know about. And, yeah, I think he's got a lot to tell. But it is sad. It is disappointing. But it's good to know that Jake Johnson himself would likely want to return in another Jurassic movie.
Yeah, you could tell that he's bummed about it. So, I definitely think that he would... I think that he'd make sense. Now... Conversely, what I will say is there's a lot of characters in Jurassic World Dominion. So when I heard that he was cut, I kind of...
Seems that way.
I kind of like had a sigh of relief. Not anything against him, but it's just because all these other characters are definitely in the movie. I've just kind of been racking my brain. I'm like, is this too much? It's too much. It's like...
There's a lot of people.
There's just too much. So like... allowing it to seem a little less convoluted that all these people are returning in the same movie, and then allowing the people that are in the movie maybe to have a little bit more screen time rather than needing to jump around and trying to share it so much. I think it's like he's the character I would have rather had, but it is what it is, and it's probably I without knowing, I feel like it would just be for the better to like slim that roster down a little bit and have more time to focus on the characters that are core to the story.
Dude, I never really thought about it before, but like, now that you mentioned how big the cast list is, like, all I care about right now is seeing the original trio again.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be literally watching, like, Chris Pratt and those guys do their thing, and then Bryce Dallas Howard doing her thing, and then, like, just take me back to the original three, please. I want to see what they're doing.
Well, what is nice is the fact that those actors and Colin have all said like they are leads in this movie. Like they're not supporting roles, like they are leads. Cool. They lead, this movie alongside Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. But I think that's pretty exciting that they're going to have a significant cut of the film and have significance to the plot moving forward. It's going to be really interesting to see how they all interact.
It will be. You remember back when I think we spoke about it on an older podcast, about the earlier draft of Fallen Kingdom that we had heard about from somebody that we know that had read it. And it was Ian Malcolm on one of the ships, kind of berating Claire and Owen, this is your fault, this is all your fault, kind of thing. That dialogue, that scene, those kind of interactions are something that I hope we do see. There's going to be a clash.
Yeah.
between Ian and Malcolm, because he's so bitter about the fact that they did everything again. They just repeated Jurassic Park again. And I think, that's something that could be really interesting, the dynamics between those characters. And then obviously the mediators maybe would be Ellie and Alan.
Yeah.
Because they're much calmer people.
Yeah, exactly. They're calmer because they're. It's not that they don't share the cynicism. Well, I mean, and part of it is Malcolm is just cocky. Both Ellie and Grant had a lot to say to Hammond, but Malcolm just wants to be right sometimes. He gets caught up in that also. Like, it's gonna be really interesting to see how this dynamic will work, how they're gonna bring them in, what they're going to be doing, like how they're justified. But honestly, I just can't wait to see them. And you know what? So this wasn't something that we planned to talk to, but real quick, do you think that we will see the original trio in the first trailer?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think it'll be
they
sparingly?
marketed that very early on, didn't they? The fact that they're returning, but it will be like one shot where they all kind of turn towards the camera or something. Like it's the three of them reacting to something. And
do you think they're gonna sell that as like one of the moments or something like that in the
They're
trailer?
not gonna do all three together, man. I feel like individual scenes, like one shot of Grant, Ellie, Malcolm, just not together though. That's not gonna happen. There's no way, man.
Do you think that they're just gonna be there in the trailer, or do you think the trailer is gonna be cut around it with like musical cues and timing and whatnot to kind of make it be like, yeah, they're back?
I think it's a big selling point, man. Having the original trio back, you gotta sell that, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they really celebrate it with the trailer. You know what I mean? Like the trailer sells like, hey, this is special, this is important, this is a big deal, and I hope it's
I hope in the first teaser it's done. It's not too in your face. The full trailer sure have that build up and have a lot about them, but I think that first teaser I would like to just see a shot of them. All I want is to see one shot of them in the movie in character.
Yeah,
in the crop, everything perfect, and that's it. And then that'll be enough for me for a couple of days, and then I'll want the full trailer. But I think teasing it is going to be the right thing to do. Everybody's going to know.
I want to hear them talk.
It's them. Kind of like the first Force Awakens trailer.
Yeah. That's a great
example. Moments where you're like,
my heart can't handle it, man. I need to hear it now, dude. I want to hear Malcolm. I need to hear Grant talk. I need to hear Sattler talk again, man.
Well, yeah,
I need that.
I'm genuinely curious how they're going to do the marketing. What characters are going to talk most during the trailers? Who's going to have the voice of them? Who's going to have the voice of the movie? Who's going to be that like kind of overarching narrative that drives sort of the beats of the movie that works for a marketing campaign. I'm
Zia Rodriguez.
Well, that's the thing. I think the marketing is always focused a lot around Chris Pratt.
Yeah, but that was
around Owen's character, and that obviously was, if you think of the Jurassic World trilogy, so far it really is Claire's story.
Claire should be front and center, man.
But I do feel like the marketing will go down more of a Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt route because they're just top dominant movie stars right now.
Perhaps
they will play in to the original trio for nostalgia, and they will, because obviously the Jurassic World movies love just milking the nostalgia, but they will do that for sure. I just don't think it'll be first. I think Owen and Claire and Maisie, I think those are the people we're going to see. The first trailer, I really hope we see Dodgson.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about him. Oh my god, right.
Because that's another thing, if it's established in the trailer that it is Dodgson, that's another thing that's like, this movie is going to be sick.
Yeah.
He's not been seen since the first one. Dude, it's going to tie a lot up.
This movie
it's
might
finally
be
going to feel like, it's delivering on that kind of story thread and promise that was initiated with Jurassic Park. And it's going to be weird finally seeing Biosyn. I just hope that it's all handled and introduced well, but that again loops back to me when I'm saying, I'm not super bummed that Jake Johnson couldn't make this movie. It's just because it's not that I'm not bummed about it because I like the character and I love the actor, but there's just so much to do in this movie that I'm like, honestly, let's focus on what really matters, and it's Biosyn and Dodgson and the original trio.
Dude, the cast is so stacked that I legitimately forgot Dodson's in the movie. I literally forgot. I was like, what are you talking? Oh, right.
It really is. When you scroll through the IMDb, you're like, oh dear. This is going to be... How long do you think this movie's realistically going to be? Obviously,
2 hours,
Sam Neill...
2 minutes.
He joked, right? Oh, it's a 6-hour movie. Because they obviously filmed a lot of stuff. But how long realistically do you think this movie's actually going to be?
Like barely 2 hours.
I think it'll be 2.5. 2.5 tops.
87.
2.5? Oh my god, so long, dude.
Probably 2.25.
I think it's going to be a long one.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I think they have so much more. I don't know. They're probably struggling to tie it all together right now.
Well, didn't Universal want to make this a 2-part movie?
Yeah,
Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know if that was Universal or Colin or what, but yeah, there was a plan to calling it a 2-part movie is sort of disingenuous. There was a consideration of taking this large story thread that they have, and it was a consideration of splitting it between 2 separate standalone films that would be filmed back to back. So they were going to film 2 films in the same shooting time, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
God, that would've been
So they're
so
going to
cool,
shoot
man.
them both back to back and then release them a year out from one another. So it would have been Jurassic World 3 and Jurassic World 4, not like Jurassic World 3 Part 1 and Jurassic World 3 Part 2.
Oh, like Dominion 1, Dominion 2?
Yeah,
All right,
but
cool.
obviously it would have had a pretty tightly, like the story of it would have felt like an arc over the 2 of them. Ultimately, is like so, and it's a little troubling, I guess, that like for a while there they were like it's not like things changed, so it's like they kind of took that same movie, that same concept. They're like, this could be 2
Condensed
movies,
it.
and they put it into 1 movie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I hope you stuck the landing, because that's obviously something that we talked about at length is how Fallen Kingdom suffers from a lot of ideas slammed into 1 movie, and like too many ideas slammed into 1 movie.
And somehow feels so rushed.
Yeah.
Like, it's so quick moving away from scenes. That's something I hope the pacing is resolved in Dominion, because I'd like to spend time with the movie.
It's weird.
A character say something
Just
and stay with
hold
that
the
beat for a
shot.
minute.
I think I brought this up before, and it's such a weird thing to hark on, but like when Claire goes to Lockwood's Manor and on the door, when the door shuts and Lockwood's crest is on the door when the door shuts, the camera cuts away from it as soon as the door shuts. So like as soon as the crest forms, you don't even see it because it's blurring and forms, and then we cut and we're inside. Just holding on that for a moment, and obviously a ton of other things, characters, moments. It just needed some time to hold with a shot, hold with a character. It was just constantly like information. It just kept getting to the point. And sometimes that's appropriate, but the whole movie was like that. And I'm not sure if it wouldn't have saved that movie for me, but I think it would have helped it. I think genuinely
Pacing wise, it would have helped it.
I think genuinely just being able to spend a little bit more time, soak in the scenery, soak in the characters, soak in the mood. I think the movie needed that. Genuinely, I really do think the movie needed it. I think it's still a flawed movie, a flawed script, but just being able to just live it a little bit would have helped it tremendously.
Well, one of the standout moments for me in Fallen Kingdom was when they were in Blue's Nest. After Owen had been shot and passed out. I forgot the name of the bad guy. What's his
Wheatley?
name? Wheatley. He says something like, "Come on, let's move." And before he even finishes his line, we've cut away. I'm like, just hold the shot. They cut to a nice wide. He says that. They all start marching off, but you don't see them, and you don't get to stay in the forest at all. And
Dude, I think he literally says, "Let's move on," or whatever the hell you said. Like, let's get moving or whatever. And like halfway between that line, "Let's get moving," like at the go part, they cut the scene. It's like a picture of like a mountain. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
It's too quick.
It's too
like,
quick.
I don't know who cut the movie, actually. I don't know who the editor was, but
I think it's one of J.A. Bayona's guys.
It's weird because his movies...
J.A. Bayona's movies don't ever do that.
It didn't feel like a Bayona movie, man, till the end.
I feel like maybe it was one of those things where maybe he lingered too much with the shots and earlier cuts, and maybe the movie was feeling way too long and way too bloated, and it was
that makes sense.
and maybe it was just an overcorrection in the end. Like maybe they overcorrected it. Maybe
they cut like the bit you said with the gate, that bit, and there were multiple other scenes where it cut too quickly.
Maybe they
were just trying to shave minutes to fit like a deadline or a.
I mean, I honestly think that some of the worst stuff in the movie is on Isla Nublar, and I do think that the movie,
100%.
I do think the movie has worse pace. Like, it's even faster on Nublar than it is at Lockwood's later on. So I do wonder if like they recognized, hey, this isn't feeling right. Let's just get through it. Because say what you want, there's a lot of dumb stuff at Lockwood's Manor, but it feels true
Contained.
to it. It feels true to itself. Like I do feel like they knew what it wanted to be at that point, and they, for the most part, did it. There are stupid things. There are things I don't enjoy, like the Owen fight scene, and where they try to go all Fast and the Furious with like the long tracking shot of Owen just kicking everyone's ass.
Throwing chairs and fucking
That's when
I hate it. It's so dumb.
That was the moment I knew the movie was not for me.
Like Jack, that's the end of the movie,
that
man.
cemented it. I was
There's like 20
nah.
minutes left of the movie at that point.
Yeah, no, there were other points when we watched it, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember.
John, not Parker Hammond.
John Alfred Hammond. But
We
meanwhile,
all went. "Run!"
we all started screaming. Meanwhile, the picture frame says John Parker Hammond, which is the funniest thing.
Love it.
And,
Oh my god.
I think they changed that in ADR also. Like,
Yeah, there was a lot of
Oh,
stuff they
dude, the
ADR'd that
Sorna
wasn't
thing
in the
was
script.
ADR too, for sure, right? That has to have been.
yeah, the Sorna
Right?
thing
Sorna line,
was
I'm pretty
ADR.
sure was.
It's off
100%,
screen.
right? Yeah, cool.
It's ADR.
cool.
I think that comes from probably fans saying,
fuck
"Sanctuary,
is
where the
Sorna?"
hell is Sorna?" So
Yeah,
like, it's just like a
100%,
little bit like, okay, we're acknowledging it exists. Like, we're not telling you why we're not bringing the dinosaurs there because we don't know.
So I have something. Evolution 2. So there's not too much to talk about this. I mean, there is a lot of information that's come out. They've got the Dimorphodon, but personally, I'm waiting for something more substantial. They're talking
Scorpius
about
Rex,
the
baby.
dinosaurs they're bringing back. That's fine. They're talking about new
No,
dinosaurs.
no Scorpius
Cool,
Rex.
whatever.
They already said that they're not adding
Why?
they're not adding Camp Cretaceous dinosaurs to Jurassic World Evolution 2 for reasons that are beyond me.
I don't like that.
I don't get it because, I mean, it's supposed to be canon. It's supposed to be part of, the franchise and a canon story. Then shouldn't it just be in, like, shouldn't... You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like,
Yeah, man.
what? So it sounds like Universal probably, even though they're saying, hey, it's canon, they're still treating Camp Cretaceous as a separate entity and not really treating it in the same way that, like, yes, this is canon. Like, this is our dinosaur list. Like, you're doing an Ouranosaurus, like, have an Ouranosaurus. Oh, you're doing a new Jurassic World Evolution, make sure you have the Scorpius Rex, make sure you have the Monolithosaurus.
Well, could that be because of the shoot? Because it's kind of tied into the Dominion, right? So could it be like a canon type game type thing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any... I mean, Jurassic World Evolution, the first one, had an Ouranosaurus. I'm sure number 2 will have an Ouranosaurus. It's just going to be really weird because, from what we understand, it will not be based off of the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous design, which, again, we're told is canon. And as far as I'm concerned, the Camp Cretaceous designs look really good, actually.
Yep,
the Monolithosaurus is one of the best things the franchise has done since the Jurassic Park era, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Agreed.
Yeah,
and so
I think 100%.
While my frustrations with Jurassic World Evolution had nothing to do with a shortage of dinosaurs. Like, anytime they had DLC and there were new dinosaurs, I didn't bother getting it because that wasn't my problem with the game. My problem with the game is it was just boring.
It was
I don't know
bare.
about that.
It was a little bare.
It was bare bones. It was very bare bones. It was very well
It was
made.
very bare bones. Yes.
It wasn't poorly made, but it's
No,
very
not
bare
at all.
bones.
Far from it.
It's
It was
very bare bones
quite
and very formulaic.
expertly
And
made.
it doesn't have the features though. Once you start to play it more, you're realizing, oh, this doesn't really have the other features that like park builders or park management games have. Like the things I do, the
Like
way
what?
a lot of things, like in terms of customization or your choices really mattering.
Customization was pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
customization was
true.
low, and also your choices with customization really didn't matter. As long as you had like trees and water and plains for the dinosaurs, nothing affected like guests. It didn't matter how you built your roads or where your roads were with the paddocks or anything like that, because it didn't affect the guests' views of the park. Like it was just
I find
very...
Operation Genesis was way more advanced in that regard with guests.
I don't think so, man. I think Dominion, fucking Evolution is way better in terms. I'm on the Dominion train now. I don't know. I think like didn't you have to like put like I don't know like the attraction thing like the showings and stuff like that to like make the guest count go higher on the specific like the paddocks and shit.
I mean, I haven't played Operation Genesis in a very, very long time. What I will say is I do recall having a lot of fun with Operation Genesis and not being able to put it down. Whereas, Jurassic World Evolution, I didn't even beat it. Now, I did beat, Return to Jurassic Park or whatever it was called. I thought that was better. I thought the mission structure... But, like, yeah. But the problem is even just the missions were, like, very, like... Oh, destroy your buildings that you like. Destroy 5 buildings. I'm like, why? Like, or like, sell 5 of your dinosaurs. I'm like, you're punishing me to like.
There's like a big setup for something, and then it's like the solution: breed 5 new dinosaurs. It's like, okay, I'll breed some more dinos. Like, yeah, it got a little tiresome, and I think it's interesting that people are not putting all their eggs into Evolution 2 yet, right? There's a comment here on. So they announced that Dimorphodon's coming back, so there's more than just
not
one
just coming
species.
back. This is the first time it's because
first time. Sorry, yeah. It's been in the franchise, so it's coming back, right? No, it's being introduced in the game. It's not just going to be the Pteranodon this time. So obviously people are hoping for the Quetzalcoatlus and things like that. But there's a comment here which
that'd be cool.
is interesting. So this person says, this was a terribly short video. I kind of feel like Jurassic World Evolution 2 is just a cash grab. The graphics haven't improved and the animations look pretty much the same. Still waiting for them to show something will actually make me want to play it. So me and Chris did an analysis of the first trailer, and we kind of came to the same summary. Like, it's not.
Don't look at me.
The trailer itself was great because it was rendered, but I'm just worried.
Well, don't get me wrong.
The screenshots we saw aren't solid.
No,
they look like the original game engine dumped in a new location. It kind of looks like SimCity or like Cities XL or one of those games.
So here's the thing: is what they've shown hasn't been great, but then they keep doing interviews or developer updates and whatnot where they talk about the game, and what they're saying, they keep promising things that sound like, hey, this sounds like it could be a sizable improvement. But the thing is show don't tell, because anytime that they're showing the game, it just looks like it could be DLC for the first game. With maybe a few caveats. They're beginning to show how their mission structure is a little bit different, like with scientists and whatnot in the game. And then there's a lot more customization. One of the reasons why the buildings look worse is it turns out you have a lot of customization control over them. I mean, they're prefabricated, but you can choose primary, secondary, and tertiary colors or something along those lines. So it's one of those things where you have control, and that's one of the reasons why the textures don't look as defined, because now it's more well, Assis, you'll get this. It's more like Halo's Forge mode, where it's you have a lot of control over it, but that control comes at the loss of visual quality because it needs to be one size fits all. It's no longer custom tailored art.
That's just what I'm thinking. When I look through screenshots, even new screenshots, it looks like a 2015 game.
Well, okay. First of all, I'm gonna defend. I'm on the defense for once. Jesus Christ, I'm not being aggressive. No, well, think about it logically. The game came out in 2018, right? The first one, the Evolution, right? In a 3-year gap, graphics are not gonna jump that much. We're not we're barely into the next generation now.
No,
but you can see some of it. I'm looking at a picture here of a dinosaur pack.
They look
Maybe
great,
a
man.
rhino. I don't know. But the background, the trees look like PS2 era trees. They look like
we don't
the
know what
trees
they're
in San
rendering this
Andreas.
on. This could be literally old technology or whatever the fuck,
I think
I'm not saying
I don't know.
that the game isn't going to be
I
way
think we should reserve
improved
judgment,
when it
man.
comes
I don't
out.
know.
But
I think
it's not got long to come out. It's out this
They
winter.
can push it back. They can push it back easily, man. There's no official date yet, so they can be
It's
you know what,
coming
next year.
2021. It is 2021.
I'm
what we're
not
seeing of
worried.
the game is not selling me.
I'm
I
not
don't know,
worried
man.
about the visuals so much, the engine, because Jurassic World Evolution was a good-looking game.
It's a good-looking game.
Especially on PC. I have no doubt that visually this game's going to have all those bells and whistles and more in terms of visuals. What I'm mainly worried about is the gameplay. For one thing, just the animations look like they're the same animations. They're sort of pre-canned rather than AI-driven. It's sort of like animation loops. So it's one of those things where the predictability of the animals, I'm already kind of wincing because I'm oh, this looks like the same thing. The Stegosaurus is bashing the fence
said that
again.
They've got new cycles.
Yeah,
right?
I hope. And allegedly, they changed the way you feed the animals. You have to it's now paleo, the different paleo plants or whatnot.
No, not that. Not that. That was a horrible gameplay function in the Claire DLC. I hated that.
Well, that's how you
Wait,
feed
what
the
was the
herbivores
function?
now.
Oh no.
It's you plant plants now to
The
feed
paleo
herbivores.
paleo botany or whatever it was.
Well, I'm sure it's not like the Claire. I didn't play that one, but
I didn't play.
They just got rid of
Really?
during DLC.
yeah, they got rid of
Interesting.
herbivore feeders on this one.
All the Doctor Who one. And to be fair, I only played Return.
And allegedly, I guess there might be hunting or pack dynamics, which is cool. I hope that that's there. I just would like to see the animals act more like animals. I think it's a bit of a bummer that they haven't added breeding in, or because I think breeding could be a really interesting hazard, and also
it'd be really cool. Yeah,
it could be
You
a
see
really
some dinosaurs banging. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
but no, I
Not
think
like
it'd be
that.
a cool dynamic. Genuinely, it'd be a cool dynamic if you could actually have wild breeding. It gives that sense of wild animals, or it could be something that you can try to control. And then also, this franchise has a rich history with sexual dimorphism, so it's a cool way to introduce sexual dimorphism within the dinosaurs themselves.
Yeah.
So you could.
So that's the thing. I don't want people to think that I'm really
But-
critiquing the game. I'm just not seeing
No, I'm right there
at
with
least,
you.
any upgrades. It's just, but I have high hopes because I really enjoyed Evolution 1, especially the return to DLC. It was
I love it.
there was less to do in it than I would have liked, but playing it is fun. Like, it's got great, it's just fun building your own Jurassic Park. When is that never not going to be fun? But I have a feeling Evolution 2 is just a massive game. It's a mammoth challenge for them. There's so many locations and environments, and I imagine the screenshots and videos that we're seeing look like the original game because those are probably the last things they're going to be implementing. Why add why push the graphics as far as they can go for right now when they're developing all the gameplay techniques and things like that? I feel like there's going to be a huge improvement.
My worry is they've said that there's a lot of improvements with the gameplay and whatnot, but like I haven't been able to see it in action. So it's like one of those things like, okay, fair enough. Maybe once I get my hands on the controller, I'll go, hey, this is a lot more fun. This is better designed. I have more control. I have more freedom, and I'm enjoying this. But they need to sort of sell me on it. Like I don't think they're not showing me that. They're saying it. They're telling, but they're not showing. And I do want to point out, by the way, with the Dimorphodon, where are the Phinofibers?
Oh,
what?
It's the fur, right?
Yeah, like basically the fur.
It's dino fur.
The Dimorphodons were covered in Phinofibers in Jurassic World, and they will be again in future films. Dominion. And it's weird that it's not there on the Dimorphodon. Like, it's really bothering me, and it also has me worried. Okay, so here's the thing. Is the lack of Phinofibers just the fact that it's an early build? Is it indicative of them not paying attention, or is it indicative of their engine not being able to handle it? Because that's problematic, considering Dominion's going to have quite a few fuzzy friends, feathered dinosaurs and whatnot. Like, can their engine not handle feathers? Are they not going to be able to do the Quetzalcoatlus?
Friends.
Yeah, fuzzy friends. Are they not going to be able to do the Quetz, which is entirely covered in Phinofibers?
What's Quetz?
The Quetz from the Dominion preview.
Quetzalcoatlus, that big, massive flying dinosaur the size of a jumbo jet plane.
It's entirely fuzzy. That thing's entirely fuzzy.
How big actually were those dinosaurs, Chris?
They were big.
6'1", my size.
Compared to like a plane.
They'd be the size of like a small, probably like a small biplane or whatnot. I'm not very familiar with. I mean, yeah, they could stand. If they stood, I think they stood taller than a T-Rex's hips.
What the?
Yeah, no, they're huge. We have one in the Carnegie Museum.
A real one?
Yeah, it's alive. Still alive.
God damn it.
So, guys, I have a question for you.
But
pitch me.
No.
Okay. Assis, I have a question for you. Pitch me your ultimate Jurassic video game in 3 seconds or less. No,
okay.
You've got a bit more time than that.
All right, I'll do it in 30 seconds or less. Okay, so Game Boy Advance, SP, Alan Grant, Jurassic Park 3. Name it Island. What the fuck's the name for the fucking game? Island Survival. Boom. Best game ever.
Oh, okay. That game currently exists. I like that game. I played that game. I had that on the Game Boy Advance. I remember the side scroller. Alan Grant.
Kinda, yeah.
Honestly, this is not my perfect game pitch, but yeah, I would like to see. This is not my pitch again, though, but I would like to see some classic side scrollers come back. It'd be really cool.
No.
It'd be really cool.
Come on, dude.
No. For real, I think that a simple rather than those stupid mobile games, because side scrollers are fun.
No, they're not.
At the very least, I think remastering the Sega Genesis games would be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool as fuck, actually.
Yeah, remaster them. Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Throw them in HD on PS5, Xbox Series X, all those arcade, as digital downloads. Make it a cheaper package, and I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean that could work. I would rather they would remaster, things like the Lost World PSX game.
That game's garbage.
Maybe Warpath. I know people have been saying they want another Warpath.
I'm actually surprised they haven't done a dinosaur fighting game. I mean, these movies are leaning so heavily into it that I am actually shocked that there's not a Warpath style Jurassic World era game.
We're done. The podcast is over now. Do we have connections at
Capcom.
Capcom.
Viacom.
No.
And it's funny because all of those development studios that developed any of the Jurassic games that we like no longer exist, except for Evolution.
Where's
They died
Dino
long
Crisis
ago.
4?
Where's Dino Crisis 4? Where's
That's a very good question.
Jurassic World Survivor? Where's Jurassic Park Survival?
Who cares about Jurassic Park? I want Dino Crisis, man.
Okay, my perfect game though. A lot of times people say that they want an open world game, and I understand where the wish comes from. It'd be cool to explore Sorna, Nublar, and whatnot. However, I think I'd like a little.
Don't ruin my pitch.
However, I think that I would like a more curated experience. I think a good example would be the new Tomb Raider games, where there are open hub areas that have a semblance of open world, but they're carefully designed. And then there's single player stories kind of designed around that area. So I would like something like that, like a little mix of like the Uncharted, The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, and I think something that just gives a curated single player story experience that has a lot of exploration. And rather than focusing on shooting, I think that not that there couldn't be shooting in it, but I think that the more like Alien Isolation, where it's more about avoiding shooting, but instead of it being like all about running and hiding, I think that if they made it platforming. So, like, jumping around, climbing around, everything like that, solving puzzles. I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, so I think taking Tomb Raider and the ones that I've played on PS3 and PS4, those games applied to a Jurassic. So it's not like you have the whole island, but you have the level you're in, the mission you're in. It doesn't feel like you couldn't.
There's still exploration. It's still open enough.
It's big enough of a field, as opposed to maybe, for example, I know it's the Lego game, so it's kind of irrelevant. But the Lego game, you had the whole island, but when you were in certain areas, you couldn't move to the next, which was fine. It's a Lego game, but. Yeah, good pitch. I mean, I'd play that, but I think because we've been teased it for so long with Jurassic World Survival, the multiple reincarnations of that there have been that still have yet to see the light of day, my ultimate pitch is, I guess at this point in time, open world Sauna. Sauna in whatever time period, but pre-Masrani, ideally. So it's the Sauna of InGen. And I guess I'm kind of pitching remake Trespasser. And
but
utilize Hammond's voiceovers, but do it right. And I honestly, I think that could be insane. But maybe it doesn't have to be Trespasser. It could be the same concept, complete open world. You're controlling a character who's discovering parts of the island, and when you discover a part of the island, it unlocks the mission for that island, or it unlocks the secret, or it unlocks this or that, and you have to get somewhere, but you have to put all these pieces together. But there could be outside threats coming in. There could be poachers. There could be Masrani people. There could be InGen people.
Manticore.
I think
Biosyn.
Yeah, there could be Manticore. There could be. I think that could be a really interesting game. Kind of taking what Trespasser tried to do, making it modern. I don't love the idea of controlling a character on an abandoned island that's covered in dinosaurs.
I mean, I love the concept of exploration and adventure. And I think that lends. I think if there's one thing that we're definitely agreeing on is exploration, adventure, and like puzzle solving. Because Trespasser
but
not like
Last of Us. Last of Us.
No. Do you guys not
Alien
play
Isolation.
Jurassic World Aftermath?
Yeah, I played Jurassic World Aftermath.
Yeah, that game is amazing.
That's an interesting.
The VR one.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, the
on that.
VR one. I love that game, dude. It's so cool.
That is interesting. I thought it was okay. I thought it was motion sickness. With wearing this.
I had no issue with motion sickness.
I typically don't have issues with motion sickness, but good lord, that game, it's virtually unplayable. It does not work.
Why?
It does not work for a VR space. You have to play sitting down with the controller because there's just not enough. Like, unless you own a fucking empty warehouse, there's no way to actually play that running around.
Not true.
I did everything in my power to try to play that game the way it was meant to be played, and it was impossible. Unless you own
Meanwhile, Assis is sat there in a warehouse.
Like, unless you live in mansions with really wide open floor plans and whatnot, it's not. It's not.
Joke's on you, man. I was in literally a quarantine room.
It is not playable walking around. I mean, I love the concept, but it's bare bones. It was bare bones. And also, if you're doing VR, why do a cartoony art style? The whole concept of VR is making it real, making it palpable. There, so it being a cartoony art style was
I don't know, man. I love the style.
It's just an ugly looking game.
That might be the best Jurassic Park game I've ever played in my entire life.
I like the story. I like the story. I like the music.
I'm not even trolling. It's the
Good
worst
one to
part.
see.
I like the story. I like the music. It's a really cool concept. It's incredibly undercooked. It's just incredibly undercooked. Is ultimately what it just cool concept, but it just very bare bones, very basic. The
I mean,
puzzles,
yeah, literally just running from raptors and like the
after you've been done,
Yeah.
it's not it. It
I
does
guess
what
in that
Alien
sense,
Isolation does. It just does it worse.
So it's one of those things, isn't it? The franchise is so long overdue for something that isn't a park builder, and I think so many people align with, well, take Alien Isolation, take The Last of Us, take Tomb Raider, those kind of things, and apply them to Jurassic, and you would, in theory, have a perfect game that Jurassic
we
fans
should do a
would
puzzle
But
game
it's
for a
difficult.
very long
I'm
time.
not going to lie and say that it's not difficult. For one thing, that's going to be a very
Yeah.
expensive game to make. Making the like
Oh my God,
building
right.
the world,
Like the
building
movies
engine.
aren't making enough goddamn money.
Well,
No, it's not like
but
that.
The game
I'm on-
development, it would be.
I'm
an
on Chris's
expensive
side
game.
on this one.
It'd be an expensive game. It'd be a difficult game. You'd
It'd be
have
a fucking
and-
AAA
and
game, man.
Games are difficult.
It'd have to be.
because to be good, it takes a lot of development, like figuring out the core mechanics, figuring out like what is fun. I'll tell you one thing, in my opinion, a lot of dinosaur shooting games that I've played, they're not fun.
No,
Like
no.
Jurassic
Lame as
the
hell.
Hunted
They're-
and things like
They're
that.
not. It's not fun to shoot at dinosaurs, really. To be honest with you, and it's just because all they do is charge at you and run around, and you're shooting.
Yo,
like
Chris
it's
is a
like
hippie.
there's no like the gameplay.
Don't you-
The gameplay loop isn't there the way like other shooters are when you can be shot back at and whatnot. So like it's more about how do you find that loop of maybe finding combat dynamics but not making it a shooter per se. Things like, hey, getting the flare, throwing the flare to like distract a dinosaur, maybe, scare them away. Trank guns.
But hey, that's the thing. We all know that. We know it would be a big game and there's a lot to do. But don't you think Jurassic is up right at the top of its game right now? That's
No, it's not.
yeah,
time
it
for a
should
game,
happen.
A AAA Jurassic
It
game.
should
You
happen.
don't-
Dude,
I think it's
if Jurassic was that big a deal, Dino Crisis would exist again.
It's a big deal. Jurassic is a very big deal. It's completely changed the game. I mean, it outsold.
Really?
It outsold Star Wars last year in terms of merchandising, and there wasn't
Okay,
even a
yeah,
movie.
fair enough.
I
Jurassic.
mean, think about the Kickstarter. Think about that game, Death Ground or whatever it's called. That's basically Jurassic Park.
So
like,
to understand why there's a lack of Jurassic gaming, you have to really look at Universal's commitment to video gaming and the way that they handle video gaming. And when you understand that, the way Jurassic behaves in the video game space starts to make a lot more sense because their commitment is not to AAA titles. They don't have like a dedicated division. They're more about like the monetary, like the self
pay to plays or
cell phone games and everything along those lines, or like the sort of double A games, but not the triple A games. So like something like Aftermath, and they chase trends. They trace
like Evolution.
Evolution is probably the one.
AAA.
Evolution's one of those things, though. Also, you have to understand their stance on shooting dinosaurs. Evolutions makes sense because you don't have to deal with that. But once you start looking at a first-person or third-person adventure game, you start to figure out, like, well, how the hell does this work? And listen, I'm not saying it can't work. It definitely can work. But you need to have the right developer, and it would be difficult.
Out.
Totally agreed with you.
So
totally
what
agreed.
we know about Jurassic World Survivor is that you had guns, but it was like Trespasser in the sense that you'd find a gun, but you wouldn't necessarily find
Like
ammo.
2 rounds of ammo.
You'd find a vehicle, but you wouldn't necessarily find fuel. So Jurassic World Survivor was originally pitched as a game where you would land on Sauna, however it was.
I think it was Nublar.
Sorry, Nublar. Nublar, yep. And you'd have to basically evade dinosaurs. It was like Last of Us in that sense, easier to skirt by them than it was to face them. And you could distract them. As far as I remember, I was told that you could distract them. You could throw things to get a raptor to go in the other direction. You could shoot to scare a dinosaur away from you. There were things like that were just sounded so right for the franchise. Because, I don't know many people that want to shoot a dinosaur. I don't want to shoot a dinosaur. And even in Trespasser, I'd rather scoot past those raptors than shoot them. But, I mean, they...
Yeah, it's just you got to find a way to make that gameplay loop fun, I think is ultimately what it comes down to. And then find a rewarding experience, a rewarding player experience. And then not to mention a story, I think is where it could get very expensive. And that's not to say games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or whatever isn't an expensive game. That's one of the best licensed games I've played in a long time, Fallen Order. And I think Jurassic needs a game, not the same gameplay style, obviously. You can't like be twirling lightsabers and whatnot, but I think that actually uses that similar Tomb Raider style, like hub area exploration and whatnot. And I think that Jurassic absolutely deserves and needs it. And I think there's no games apps that are encapsulating what the Jurassic movies are, which is the sense of adventure and thrill.
And isolation.
Isolation, adventure, thrill, ensemble cast, story, but
it's not like it can't happen, and that's my point, is that the franchise is so big, it's everywhere. Jurassic World is everywhere right now, so like it just kind of seems like it should happen. I understand there are things that are difficult. I know that Universal have always had a interesting track record with video games. If you look at Jurassic Park Survivor, in fact, I was reading up about Jurassic Park Survivor just before this pod. Totally unrelated, but it was about how they had a Universal representative that actually spoke to jpdatabase.net. Don't know if you guys remember that site back in the day.
That, yes.
And they told him we weren't happy with the development that Savage Entertainment were doing, what we were seeing, so we kind of pulled it from them, and we're hoping to get it in the hands of another developer. And then they were asked, Dan's JP3 page, remember that? Then reported saying apparently they were asked to remove that quote because it wasn't official. But I don't know, the guy that used to run JP Database was pretty legit back in the day. Didn't lie much, but it kind of makes sense when you talk about the official story.
Just a couple times here and there.
The official story was that Vivendi Universal weren't
So,
they missed a payment or something for the developer, and the developer stopped developing, and then there was a clash, and then it stopped. But it would make sense if they weren't happy with what they were seeing, because reviews were people that had played the game were like, it's buggy, it's not great.
Yeah, that tracks. Universal of old, and this is different, had a lot of conflicts with the people that they worked with in the game space back then. It was a completely different company. What Universal does now is I think that they have good working relationships with the people that they work with. However, they're just not taking these big, expensive risks. They're not doing the types of games that we wanted. So that tracks, and also, it tracks that the game probably wasn't great, because I recall like IGN and stuff being like, this game's got a lot of potential, but it ain't there yet, so...
Yeah, and I think they struggled a lot, because what was happening as well is they were being given assets, but the assets were insanely out of date, because there wasn't much to go with, because Jurassic Park 3 had been thrown out, and they were redoing it 5 weeks before filming, right? So they were trying to make a Jurassic Park 3 game, and in the end it changed into, well, let's just do our own story, but we need it to kind of look the same. But they had no idea what Jurassic Park 3 was going to look like, what the characters were going to be. So I felt for the studio, they were, or the developers, I guess, they were struggling to kind of match to what Universal wanted in the first place, because they weren't being given anything to use. So
I mean,
it was a tough one.
But, that's one thing that I think that we could say that we see a lot of today, where just assets don't match, like in terms of like what the films are, and then what like licensed partners and whatnot are putting out. It's like there is definitely a lack of information sharing that loops back to Evolution 2 not having Camp Cretaceous dinosaurs, which again is sort of like but why,
but they're like me.
They're just like there's only like three dinosaurs from Camp Cretaceous. It's not like they have this huge ensemble of it's not like there's this giant roster. There's the
so they're not getting the Monolophosaurus.
They said they're not adding dinosaurs from Camp Cretaceous.
It sounds lazy.
It just sounds like it never was on their plate. I don't think...
Why?
Because they probably... Like I said, I think there's a disconnect. Universal's saying it's canon, but they're not treating it as canon.
But the Monolophosaurus...
I know, it's great. It's a great design. And I'm sure...
Scorpius, baby. Scorpius.
But again, I don't know. Like, you just look at you look at the Dimorphodon. Not only is it missing the fibers, it's off model. I don't know what to say about the Evolution 2... I don't know. We'll have to see how Evolution 2 shapes up. There's a lot of like this and that, and I'm not sure if it's all Frontier's fault, but like there's definitely like it just feels a little disconnected from what people want. But we're probably being unfair, because as we've basically just rambled on about, we're not getting the types of games that we really want to see. I think that I would have a lot more of an open mind with Evolution 2 if it weren't the only high budget Jurassic game we were getting. I think that it's easy to look at it under a microscope when that's all you're getting.
So, hey, let's talk about the visual history guide. So that is out next month? October, right. So not next month. I'm really sorry, guys. I got that wrong. It's not next month.
So he's Canadian now. He's bad with dates and stuff.
So the cover. Let's talk about that.
So, Assis, have you seen the visual history guide?
I've seen the cover. Yes, I'm tracking that now. And you know what? I think the upset nature of the fan base is unwarranted. Because like we've wanted this for such a long time. It's a small little change. Like the artwork for the most part is a similar, like the same from like the one we see with like Harrison Ford and like the T-Rex and shit.
Yes.
So I get it, right? So let's just, for a bit of context, for those who don't know, the original artwork was a piece of concept art made for Jurassic Park way back 91, 92. And it shows what looks like Harrison Ford, which is who Spielberg was eyeing up at the time for the role of Sam Neill, and then two kids that don't look anything like the characters they cast. And then a T-Rex behind them. It's a wonderful piece of concept art.
It's great.
They use that for the cover of the visual history guide. However, they have edited it so the human characters look now like Lex, Tim, and Grant, which it does make sense, right?
It does make sense.
It
100%.
makes more sense than using that art as is on the cover. If they would have released the cover with that art and like you have Harrison Ford, that would not have made sense. So
no, but I don't think you'd look at that and immediately think Harrison Ford. You wouldn't immediately, unless you knew the.
I've seen a lot of people saying that did not know it. I've seen a lot of people like seeing the original art and saying, "Oh my god, that dude looks just like Harrison Ford." The original art looks just like Harrison Ford. It looks just like Harrison Ford.
Dude, it's literally Harrison Ford. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's unmistakable. And I think that's the problem. I think the reason why it got changed is not just that it wasn't entirely on brand, but like not entirely on model for the characters, because that's normal for concept art, but I guess it's not as normal for a cover. But it was also just because it was Harrison Ford. Now, here's the thing, though. I hope to God the book acknowledges the fact that they updated the artwork and maybe shows the original artwork within. If it never acknowledges that it updated the artwork and tries to sell that as the original concept artwork, it kind of throws the credibility of the book out the window, because you don't know what else, if there's anything new in there that we've never seen before, how the hell do you know if it's actually, like, what are we actually really seeing?
So I personally, I agree with the change. It doesn't. I don't really care.
Yeah, it looks good.
I think if they make that change, they probably should have updated the T-Rex too to look like the Jurassic T-Rex. However, I think the visual history guide, an art book for Jurassic Park, would work with that original piece of concept art. I do understand the Harrison Ford comparisons, but I think it would have worked. It's a piece of concept art. Or use a different piece of concept art.
Or just create an all-new cover, also.
Or create something
anything
new.
else.
But, I mean, there's so much from John Bell. There's so much from Crash McCreary.
I can see why they chose it. The composition and framing of it follows a really good compositional style that works really well for a cover. And I'm hard-pressed to think of other pieces of Jurassic concept art that actually have that composition that would work as well on a cover and also manage to show characters in a dinosaur.
Plus, it really does look Jurassic.
Yes.
Like, it just has that
catches
90s
your eye. So I
going.
get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But yeah, I agree. I think that, like, if you're going to change the human characters so much, might as well change the T-Rex. At least recolor it to look more like Jurassic Park at that point. I think...
Yeah.
I think...
My only other comment would be that the logo has a black stroke around it, and the official logo does not. But I also think the text below, the Ultimate Visual History, just needs a little drop shadow or something like that.
Yeah.
There it is. Look at those shoes. But it's a great cover, and I'm really hoping that this book kind of fulfills a lot of what we want to see in this kind of book. I have a feeling that it's going to miss...
I think it's going to miss a lot.
On a lot of information that like people like Derek Davis have dug up with their own,
or just the pages...
collections and stuff.
The preview.
But I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun either way. And either way, it's just great that we're going to be seeing this book on shelves, right?
Yeah.
It's not just going to be online.
Yeah, on shelves. It's going to be in bookstores, everything like that. It's overdue. It's not the art book we've wanted. It's more of like a sort of a making of book, and it's a 256-page making of book that does the entire Jurassic Park trilogy, plus video games, plus comics, plus toys, plus theme parks. So yeah, I think it's going to touch
I need to get this pre-ordered.
It's going to touch the surface of a lot of things. I'm not sure if it's going to go as deep as we would like. I mean, it's
not going to go deep like Derek.
Yeah. So like one of the things that I noticed was
what did you notice?
So the baby Triceratops animatronic. Maybe they'll acknowledge it on a page that wasn't on the preview page. But on that preview page, when they talk about how they built the animatronic and then never used it, and then they talk about how a baby Triceratops had a scene in Jurassic World, they never talk about the fact that the baby Triceratops animatronic was used in The Lost World. Which is like a weird glaring omission. Or when they're talking about the 6 Triceratops, they don't talk about And again, and maybe it's on the page that follows, but they didn't talk about the original paint job and how they covered it with dirt out there on the scene. There's just like a lot of things that's like, it's not, if this is for the super fans, if this is the ultimate visual history, the problem is I think they've forgotten they've put out making of books in the past, and Stan Winston has making of books and everything like that. And this is like, an ultimate, like, you know what I mean? Like, who's this for?
One thing I said to Derek, I was like, start gathering everything you have and get prepared to self-publish your own visual, the real ultimate visual history.
But
he can do it, man. He has the connection,
hey,
man.
I'll give him money to do it.
Dude, I'll do it right now. I'll pay him.
So he is sitting on so much stuff. Derek went to archive centers in LA and different places and stood there for
dope as
whole
fuck,
days
man.
at a time,
awesome.
scanning documents page by page.
I love Derek, dude.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a hero. He's a hero.
it's a shame that stuff was not properly archived for like the web, just by the libraries that have it.
Yeah, crazy, hey? So anyway, I think we should talk about the Reeboks, because I can see Assis just sitting there with his Reeboks, going crazy over them. So if you don't know, I guess everybody knows by now, Reebok crossed Jurassic Park, did a collaboration. Most people have managed to get a pair of shoes. Assis is holding the... Oh my god, what are they called? Is that the Zenada?
I have no idea, bro.
Which ones are they?
They're the ACU ones. I don't know like what the real shoes are called.
It's the black high tops.
Black high tops, Reebok with ACU, right, on the side?
ACU, security, handler, wherever you want, man.
So I don't know if this was described or if people know this, but it comes with Velcro labels that you can remove.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And maybe it was.
It has the InGen logo and ACU.
And the box, man. The box is like literally the raptor cage from the opening scene of Jurassic Park. Dude, Reebok went like fucking literally balls out to the walls.
Yeah, we know that So the best packaging is, I mean, arguably is the OG Jurassic.
Yeah, the ones like the old Kenner toys.
Those ones,
old Kenner toy box with the display. You can have it so it's open. Like, I wouldn't wear those shoes. I want to get those shoes just to have them in the box.
I kind of regret not getting one of those, but I didn't buy any. I have the Nedry pair.
So you had your Nedry was in a large Barbasol can,
which is really cool.
Oh my god, those are the best shoes, dude.
Yeah, the Nedrys are.
Oh my god, I love those shoes, bro.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think I'll ever wear them because I don't want to destroy them, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, man.
I've started wearing, so I got Mr. DNA, I started wearing them because I do wear a lot of, like, white trainers and, like, you know, just kind of, they're very, I guess plain is the word. They're not, like, too intense. They've got a bit Mr. DNA on, but most of the art is either inside the shoe or it's,
they're very cute. Underneath. Very cute.
Yeah, it's sort of the same thing with the Nedry.
I appreciate that.
Sort of the same thing with the Nedry pair, and that's why I kind of like them. I'm like, oh, they're subtle for the most part, and they look slick.
I was really hoping that Chris would get hold of the Jungle Explorer. What are they called? The original. What's what most people are picking up?
Kinetica, I don't know.
Kinetica, Connect 4, Tetris, something crazy like that. No, this is Reebok nailed it, man.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
This is incredible.
Is such a cool
Great
collaboration.
I would love to know. Yeah, I would love to know who's behind the box designs and everything like that, because they put a ton. I think they put more attention to detail in the box art and like the
Mattel, Hasbro.
And I get it because that stuff is more mainstream retail, so that it has to like achieve a lot of very simple like retail. It needs to be all purpose, but I don't know. I mean, these guys just really seem to get Jurassic. Their packaging team seem to get Jurassic art very, very well, and I like what they did with it. They everything that I've seen, every different packaging variant that I've seen, I'm like, oh no, that's super cool.
I do feel like as well, each pair is perfect for one fan. Like Assis is holding them, I can't see him in any of the other pairs. I just see him in those.
Dude, these are incredible, right? They're so fucking slick.
They're you. Those are you. I need to see. Next time I see you, you're in them.
Match my truck too, bro.
Yeah, F-150.
Hell
some
yeah.
Reeboks. Come on.
Slick blacks. Yeah, baby.
That's it.
These are incredible. I'm very impressed with the quality. Very impressed.
Yeah. And from my understanding as well, none of the shoes are new. They're all current Reebok shoes rebranded for Jurassic, but it's not done in like they've slapped a Jurassic logo on. The whole thing.
Yeah, it's like it's a style that they already have pre-existing, but they've completely refabricated the shoes from the ground up.
The benefit to that is reviews of the shoe.
Yeah,
Like, you go on Reebok's site and it's the Jurassic shoe. Nobody had bought them yet, and all the reviews were about the shoe, the shoe type. You know? And it was like, okay, this is actually a really good way of knowing if it's going to work for you or not, because you can get them online.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a collaboration! What a
Incredible.
collaboration!
Literally incredible.
I wish there was a pair that just did not. I wanted like basically Grant's pair, but like without the Jurassic Park logo front and center. I would have loved to get one. I would have loved to get one where it's just the mark of authenticity, which is just the T-Rex skull inside of the circle, but without like the font. If they would have just done that in the same color as the shoe, so you could barely see it, that would be like my level of like, there it is, but you really gotta look for it, like it's not jumping out at you. I would have liked to see at least one very subtle pair. But anyhow, I love what they've done with them, and a lot of people can pull shoes off like this. Like, these are things that you wouldn't necessarily like stare at and be like, that's Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? You see like colors and shapes and whatnot, and be like, "Oh, that looks cool as hell."
Except for those main ones. Yeah. Jesus.
To be fair,
Tour Explorer Jeep ones.
Yeah, the Ford Explorer ones are
really
a little too garish for me, but I do like the packaging.
I do want a pair though. I kind of want a pair.
They're ridiculous.
Keep in the box.
Yeah,
100%.
I want a pair. Not because I love them for how ridiculous they are.
Wearing them is a power move. It's ultimate power move.
just like dressing up like Patrick Star, huh?
That's it. We'll put that in the episode.
Same type of power move. Very strange one.
That's the thumbnail. Just you as Patrick Star.
Did you see how I dressed up?
I did. I loved it, dude.
Yeah.
The fishnets and all. Yeah, I love that.
Fishnets.
I love it, dude.
And Chris probably won't want me to say this on the pod, but I'm going to say it. He told me as well, you know, because it was an all-in-one bodysuit, you couldn't unzip it, so he ended up just kind of peeing through the suit.
Oh.
And
Oh
by the end of the night, the pee had gone.
It had
What the hell?
congregated down into my boots.
It wasn't pink anymore from sort of waist down.
Yeah, it was. No, but genuinely. So for real though, here's the funny part: is I had to cut. I had to get a knife and cut. I had to pee. And
Jesus Christ, dude!
It was like all zipped up, and it was all like worked up, and it was so difficult to get this on and off and everything like that. And like getting it zipped up and unzipped, like I would have probably had to get help. And like I'm at a house party, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just like,
can someone come to the bathroom with me?
So I'm just like, hey, can I borrow your knife? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, take off the shorts. And that's podcast content.
Can I borrow your knife? Just the knife guy at a party.
Dude, everyone has a knife.
It was a switchblade. It was a proper switchblade. Like you press the button and the blade just goes, shoots out. I'm like, ugh, gotta be careful with that.
Uh-oh. Legal.
Is what I'm doing.
Knife guy.
Knife guy. Yeah, the knife guy. But anyhow, yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of knives,
I tried not to do that. I tried not. I made it to like 1 a.m. and then I was like, I really have to pee. And I want to make this
yeah.
Come on, fucking pants open real quick.
This has to happen.
Jesus Christ, Chris.
But it's a bodysuit without like a little like boxers. You know, boxers.
Dude, I don't know,
take
man.
care of you, but this did not, and it was just too much. So I solved it.
Found a workable solution by borrowing knife guy's knife.
Yes.
So that speaking of knives, that does bring us on to the young T-Rex from the Lost World Jurassic Park
segue. What transition is this? What are you talking about?
Does that not align? Does that not fit? No, but seriously, let's talk about that. So Mattel are dropping new figures consistently. It's like they're not stopping. In fact, get on the Mattel train or get out, because there's so much coming. So there is a young T-Rex from the Lost World.
Yes, it is.
Which is, I mean, come on. It looks really bad. I'm gonna hold back on that one. It looks like so for me, the head sculpt looks like the young T-Rex. I'm happy with that. But
everything
else, color, what is going on? What is going on with the color?
Got these big, beefy, meaty arms that are like so off. The entire body just looks stocky and thick. Mm-hmm. The young T-Rex is long, narrow, and skinny, and this thing is just stocky and beefy and thick. The arms are too big and they're too muscular. The color looks like it's a can of...
Stop describing me, Chris. Come on, we're talking about toys.
The color looks like a can of Mountain Dew.
I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby.
Yeah, baby.
But then also the compies. The compies don't even look like compies. They're like these...
They look like these dinosaurs that are being introduced in Evolution 2.
Coelophysis. Or I was going to say they sort of look like Genie from... Jurassic World Live Tour, the Troodon.
Yes.
The Troodon that's missing the sickle claw, which was which is ironically looks like a giant compy. So it does kind of go full circle
really
in that
weird.
way. Like, in a way, I guess it is kind of full circle. But yeah, no, so they don't have these long necks. They have these giant, their head shape are like kind of like raptor shaped instead. And they have these giant jaws. And then also they have the wrong amount of fingers. They have these 3 full raptor-like fingers rather than the compies have 2 fingers with a third like mini digit like up on the hand.
Like a little thumb.
So yeah, no, these they really dropped the ball on these, if you ask me. Especially, I mean, the T-Rex, if I didn't see it next to the compies, I would assume that was mainline, like, you know, like with the regular action figures. And in that case, I go, hey, that looks pretty good. But it's Amber Collection. This is a $30 toy, and I don't think it's living up to $30 toys level of accuracy, level of quality. Now, we've seen it time and time again. The final real toy is going to have better paint. They always look like they're painted with crayons in the promo pictures, and then you get the real thing, and you go, oh wow, that looks a lot better. Why'd they take those promo pics the way they did? I have no doubt that it's going to look better, but I don't think it's going to look great.
Right.
Now, I've seen a lot of people say, hey, the young T-Rex isn't green, but it is. It is. The young T-Rex should indeed be green. It just shouldn't. It should be closer to the color green of the compies. And them tapping in that pinkish hue color is actually pretty cool that they did that. It just, I don't know, the painting techniques, the colors, it's just all over the board.
If this was Legacy Collection, or if this was just some random young T-Rex from Lost World, but in just a general collection, I wouldn't mind. The fact is, it's Amber Collection, so the accuracy is something that should be priority. I mean, if you look at previous Amber Collections, look at the Pteranodon from JP3.
Yeah,
that's the Pteranodon from JP3. Color accurate. Same with Lost
Raptors.
World. Even the Lost World Raptors, they look pretty good.
They look all right. I mean, they're not sculpted
JP3
right.
Raptor is better.
The problem is they're blue, and then the head leaves a lot to be desired also with paint, in my opinion.
The sculpt, sure, yeah. But then it's just, I don't know. I just do the young T-Rex from Lost World. That young T-Rex is so iconic. The way it looks, it's boxy kind of head shape. Everything about it is very unique, very standout. And unfortunately, the figure doesn't live up to that. And the compies, whatever. But they are also dropping Muldoon. Now, this is where it turns around from.
Yeah.
The Muldoon figure looks pretty damn
incredible.
solid.
It's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny
like,
because the promo
best
pics,
face so far, right?
the promo pics, once again, and this is a good example, the promo pics are all the wrong color, and then you see the package shot, and you go, oh, they nailed it.
And I think that the head sculpts really do look like Muldoon, right?
That really looks like him. It looks like it's a high-quality toy. It's got high-quality, high socks. The paint is good.
High-quality, high
socks. It does not come with his Spaz shotgun, although some people are saying that might not be an anti-gun thing with the rules, and it might be more of a...
It's probably licensed.
Apparently, that got like Spaz shotgun will never license out their gun for like merchandise.
Bernelli or some shit.
So it was more
really?
they gave it a stun prop. But in which case, I kind of go, well, okay, just give us a fictionalized sort of Spaz looking shotgun. I mean,
just give us a shotgun.
Yeah, just give us a shotgun that sort of looks like that. I mean, you already did it with the Legacy Collection release.
That's strange, to be honest. Yeah, the Legacy Collection had a shotgun.
And
in fact, the Legacy Collection had a Spaz 12.
I maybe it wasn't exactly accurate is the thing though. Like, and I don't know because I'm not like that cued into it.
I kind of feel like,
but it was
for
good
Amber
enough
Collection,
for me.
they should have really strived for that to be.
Wait,
accurate,
I'm looking
right?
at this picture, by the way, on Mattel's website of the package Muldoon shot, and there's 2 heads, but they both seem to have the same expression. Yeah, they accidentally put the same head into the package twice.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't. Look at the package shot. It's they don't have the alternative head in the package shot.
Oh, that's so weird.
That's a whoops.
But it does, he looks solid. And it is funny, the costume is slightly wrong color in like some of the shots. And then you see the package, you're like, yep.
Which is...
They nailed it.
And in a lot of the promo shots, it looks very toy-like. And then in the package, it looks like more collector quality. And I have no doubt that the young T-Rex is going to do the same thing. We've seen it every time, basically. But that doesn't fix the sculpt, ultimately. That's the one thing that never changes.
I just can't get over the face of Muldoon. That's got to be the best Amber Collection figure they've done so far.
Yeah. I think...
I'm kind of gutted it's not the Spaz 12 thinking about it, because if they could do that with Legacy Collection, even if it's not the exact Spaz 12, why give him something that he doesn't use in the movie when it's supposed to be the collector line?
Yeah, to be fair, I will say it is kind of cool getting that stun prod gun. those things are pretty unique and cool. So like, they're definitely synonymous with Jurassic Park. I'm just not sure if he's the character, or like he should come with that and a shotgun. You know what I mean? Like I would forgo a second.
Yeah.
I would forgo a second head sculpt if I could just get that with the shotgun.
Well, to be fair, since he's got that, I can't wait to see the guy. I always forget his name. It's not Ted Brothers. It's the guy that recreates. Oh, A Scene Is Born. I want to see him recreate the opening of Jurassic Park with this Muldoon figure.
They need to do JP workers as well for the Amber.
Shoot! Yeah, JP.
I would absolutely buy like the park workers or whatnot. You know, I would.
Yeah, 100%. And Joffrey as well. You should be able to buy Joffrey.
Gatekeeper.
That would be pretty. Yeah. Joffrey, raise the
gate.
We have a couple of questions that were submitted. Now, these weren't submitted for the podcast. Full context. These weren't like sent in for the podcast. We get a load of emails. We get a load of comments on videos. We get a load of, I don't know, Chris gets a load of DMs. But we have a couple of questions that we've kind of formed. We figure these would be interesting discussion points. So the first is, what happened to the Amblin live-action TV series? This was asked by Justin. Yeah, that is a really good question. So how long ago was it?
I have no idea
2
what
years
you're
ago
talking
now.
about, so this is on you guys now.
I think this was
This happened while you were out of action.
Yeah, this was
Man, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Was this a year ago or 2 years ago?
I'm feeling closer to 2 years because it was pre-Camp Cretaceous that they first mentioned it.
Hold on.
So Amblin, my view of it is Amblin TV live action. They kind of announced that they were going to do a live action Jurassic World show.
Wait, what?
No
Okay,
context.
March 7th, 2020. So this was a year ago. No, okay, to be fair, they didn't announce it. We found the industry reports. And then we announced it. So,
we announced
so
it.
To be clear, the reason why you're not hearing anything about it
okay.
is because they haven't actually announced it yet.
I love it.
The reason why you're not hearing about it is because they, we talked about it, we found out about it, but that's not something that they were. There was no doubt that that's something they're planning for after Jurassic World 3, so it's not too surprising that you're not hearing too much about it. It would be nice if the trades would maybe start reporting on it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it has found itself in hiatus or anything along those lines. But
with the delay of Dominion and COVID and everything, a lot was shut down and a lot was postponed.
Even when we found out about it,
Yeah.
I think it was like kind of on hold at that moment.
Yeah, so the article that we initially published when we announced it, that is so weird, Amblin Television have begun developing a live-action Jurassic World series. Not much is known. Colin and Spielberg would be producers, alongside newcomers Justin Falvey and Daryl Frank. Those are two guys that currently work at Amblin Television, right? They run the show. It currently listed, at the time, Vancouver, Canada as its primary filming location. Which makes sense. Most TV shows film here now, unless they're in Atlanta, Georgia, or somewhere like that.
And you have, imagine if it was a Sorna show.
Come on, stop. If it was that would make sense as well, right? Because, I live in Sorna right now.
No, like, genuinely. Or, I guess, to be fair, I don't know exactly where it's supposed to be in Dominion, but we know that there is, I don't think it's Sorna, but there's an area that the wilderness reminded me of Sorna. Remember that image with DeWanda Wise and Chris Pratt? And it could also be that location. That might be, it's hazarding to guess. I'm guessing Biosyn. And I would, we heard that DeWanda Wise, her character is being eyed by Universal to lead future installments after Jurassic World 3. It would not surprise me if those future installments. Yeah, it would not surprise me if those future installments were live action TV. It wouldn't even surprise me if the series is a prequel. You know what I mean? Like, before you figure out what happens after Jurassic World 3, maybe it's like, hey, that Biosyn place, or like everything that was going on there. Let's get into it. Let's get the Jurassic World of Biosyn. You know what I mean? Like the movie where things are operational and normal before whatever happens that, drives a climactic movie.
Yeah. So I think the information we had at the time was, it says the series is said to be part of the same continuity as the films and tie into Dominion. The current state of its development and release date remain under wraps, blah, blah, blah. Sequel, partnership known as Peacock. Oh, yeah, so that was because we were curious about the platform. Now, Netflix obviously would make sense for live action, but now that Universal have Peacock, it may go there.
But
unfortunately, there hasn't been any information about the show, and we do think that it's something that, because of COVID and Dominion's delay, it's probably just been on hold. But it might be something that now Dominion is reaching its release. It's something that kind of opens up again.
Jack, you and I were talking about this the other day. We feel like 2024 would be the latest that it would be until we see something in the live action space for Jurassic after number 3. I know that's a quicker turnaround.
So, yeah.
I know it's a quicker turnaround than usual, but I think they're going to want to ride that momentum. And I think the TV space makes sense, but I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we'll get to. I feel like we might even get stuff in 2020, 2023 even, but maybe not live action.
Maybe not, but it would. I mean, obviously, ultimately, I would love a prequel series to take place pre-Jurassic World, even like showing post JP3, but pre-Jurassic World is an interesting era, especially with everything that could have gone on those islands, knowing what the DPG told us about Sauna and what was going on there. There's some interesting stories to tell that tie into both trilogies, not just the first, not just
tie it together.
But either way, I do hope we hear more about that soon. It would be nice to just get a nod or a note, or even imagine if we just got a title. Nothing else, just a title, and it would leave so much to the imagination.
Or hell, even if just the trades began to report, like, hey, a show or whatever is now being, because that's a lot of times how news happens. The studio might not make an announcement, but the trades are like, hey, they're in active development, and they're beginning to cast or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just something, because they know, but normally they wait for the studio to pay them to publish, because it's all reporting. The reporting half of film reporting is like paid stuff masquerading as insider scoops. But I guess that's the nature of the game.
So we have 2 more questions. The first was, will there be a Beyond the Gates follow-up? This is an interesting question, because obviously it's something.
That's all you guys know, yeah.
Well, the username said Claire Grady 2004. That was like the email username. The display name in an email, so I don't know. But we're obviously working on Beyond the Gates now. We're actually working on the penultimate episode. We are hoping that there would be a follow-up. There's certainly loads of places that we would like to take that show, but it's not necessarily our say.
Yeah, no, I think if the demand is there, though, I think that there's always a really good opportunity for it to continue. There's certainly not a lack.
Just need to see the demand, and obviously the YouTube views have been really, really great. The comments have been really positive.
But if you want more, if you want something different, just make sure you say it. Don't necessarily say it to us. Say it on like the Jurassic World YouTube uploads and whatnot. I guess the places that like the powers to be can see it. If you like the show, if you want to see things in it that are different, honestly, open book. But make sure that you're saying it, putting it out there. It's not that that's not being done already. It's definitely being done. It's definitely being noticed. But I think that just continuing that is always a good way. If you want to see more of it, if you want to see it evolve, I know that both you and I want to see more of it, and we want to see it evolve as well, change up a little bit, grow a little bit, and there's a lot of opportunity, and it's certainly something that you and I discuss a lot at great length, have a lot of pitches, have a lot of hopes for. So, I at the very least, it's been a hell of a blast, and it's been great hearing a lot of good comments. And even though like a lot of times the episodes get scooped by accident, just by Mattel publishing the images too early, like a few days before each episode, I think people have really been enjoying the episodes being like their first real look at these items and going behind the scenes.
Yeah, ultimately it hurts when there's something that we know we've been holding on to and waiting for that episode to drop gets leaked. But I'm still hoping, obviously the episodes contain so much behind the scenes information from Mattel directly. We get to speak to Raph a lot. Raphael is such a dude.
Everyone we talk to, Chandra, Raph,
scenes.
Nick, Eric. I mean, there's been so many great people that we've been able to talk to and dive into it. And again,
and they really do talk about the items and the toys, and they reveal the process behind the whole thing. And I think we've shown some we've been sent and we've shown and we've pushed for some true behind the scenes imagery, and we've begun to get real prototype shots in there of like, unpainted toys before they were finalized, and just things like that is something I always used to love to see as a collector, and the same with Chris, and I think that's something people want to see. And there are some hidden stuff. There's some hidden stuff in the episode.
People notice the Dominion Dimorphodon clay sculptures in the Mattel reference sheets in the Dimorphodon episode. So that was something that was cool.
So there is a final question here. This is season 4 the last season of Camp Cretaceous? And this is from Katie with a C.
Katie with a C.
Not with a K. Not with a K.
Katie?
Yeah.
Not a K, guys. A C. Okay.
A
Cool.
C.
Okay.
An ocean.
Yes, it is. Season 4 is the final season.
No.
From our understanding, right? Season 5. It's going to be 5 seasons.
Originally, it was going to be 6, and that was like early on. Yeah, it's going to be 5 seasons from what I know. I think season 4 comes in December, season 5 in July of next year. So that's July 2022, a month after Dominion. And then I think there's going to be like a standalone interactive episode sometime in fall of 2022. I
wouldn't doubt that they would be like do a little Netflix movie.
Yeah,
wrap things up.
But yeah, I think they're doing one of those choose your own adventure interactive things. I'm not a fan. The Black Mirror one was not only not good, but also not fun. And it just I didn't enjoy it. Also,
it was a good experience when you're in a group of people, but like that's not how I want to watch Black Mirror.
No.
I like watching Black Mirror and constantly having my mind.
The other issue is
having existential crises.
Well, the other issue is it throws the concept of canon out the window unless they tell you only one of the potential outcomes is like the true story. It's like if you're trying to be canon, then you shouldn't have a open-ended choose your own adventure. You know what I mean? Like
but I think the choose your own adventure for Camp Cretaceous could probably work really well.
Perhaps, I don't know. I guess I haven't enjoyed that format yet. I haven't seen a good usage of it. So it's like a cool idea, but like it hasn't been enjoyable for me. You can't sit back and watch it, and the experience hasn't been that interesting for me. It's like I'm watching and like, oh, now I got to press a button. I don't know, and it's just like...
Yeah, I prefer watching movies and TV shows as movies and TV shows, but maybe I'm, old school in that?
I don't know. I just don't think... I think it's a cool idea. I just don't think it's been that great. Hey...
But Camp Cretaceous could be the thing that realizes it properly.
But maybe, yeah. But anyhow, yeah, Season 4, December, Season 5, July. I think Season 5 is, like, the true final season. I think the story concludes. Like, it's going to have a pretty... Like, they're going to tie it up pretty nicely. And then that's going to what I was saying before, though, with 2023, is I feel like there will be a new animated show by then, and that is not based off of anything but speculation, but it just sort of makes sense. I don't think they're going to want to lose this momentum. You know what I mean? They're not going to want too much downtime away from the animation, so I don't think it's going to be...
Yeah, and Camp Cretaceous, I guess it probably will reach a point where we're like, okay, yeah, maybe not fatigue, but because it's been pumped out so consistently, you're right, switching it up, a different animated show, different characters.
Well, it's only so long that a bunch of kids can be stranded and surviving before it just completely extends its welcome.
And only so far you can believe that their parents aren't actively out there trying to find them, taking their own boats to Isla Nublar and stuff, by all accounts, their parents seem to be pretty happy that their kids haven't returned home.
Where is Dave and Roxy? And how is there never any rescue missions or cleanup missions? I think that the one thing that breaks Camp Cretaceous for me a little bit is the fact that there was never anything in the 6 months the kids were there, never any other missions. But I think if the show went out of it, if they went and established
that they saw that they were aware
of. If we are made aware that turns out there were, and that they just never crossed paths, maybe the kids were underground at that time in the tunnels and whatnot, I would find that would be the one thing that really would tie it together and feel a lot more logically sound to me, because right now that does feel like a huge lapse of logic that they just had a huge evacuation and nobody went on that island to secure it, or that,
especially with Dave and Roxy saying those kids are still alive.
Yeah,
those kids are still alive. Those kids are still there. There's children on the island to multiple people, and then no one's gone to find them.
It just,
but yeah, who knows? It's a kids' TV show. You can suspend disbelief,
I suppose,
that kind of thing.
But
for a while. for a while. Not for 10 seasons.
So
10 seasons stuck on back and forth with
I
New
think
Blood
5
and Sauna.
seasons is a good place to end it. But I'm excited to see. I'm going to be sad to see it end. I'm excited to see where it goes, and then I'm excited to see what comes next.
I'm going to be sad to see this podcast end, but guys, it has reached that time. I think we've covered a fair amount in this podcast. Compared to when we were, doing the podcast last year and stuff, it's a really active franchise right now.
There we go.
There's so much going on. There's so much in development. There's even shoes.
Shoes.
That summarizes the franchise as a whole, doesn't it?
Even content.
Even shoes.
For those foot fans.
God.
You're going to put that in the your recap video. You're like the Reebok recap video.
Oh, what, the shoe video?
Yeah, the shoe video. You're like,
here's
some quality content for Jurassic fans and foot fans, or whatever the said. Watch it. I was like, what?
You got to play to them.
He actually kept the line in.
Yeah, you got to play to both fields, man. I can't. Hey, guys, it was lovely to speak to you again, and it's really nice to have some consistency with you on the pod. Mm-hmm. I missed that. Mm-hmm. When we began the original Jurassic Park podcast. What? Jurassic Park podcast? Jurassic World.
When we started Brad's podcast.
When we started Brad's pod. No, when we started the Jurassic World pod, it was the three of us plus a guest. Mm-hmm. 3 of us plus a guest. Yep. And I missed that. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how much I missed that until you were back.
We're back, man. We're back.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, man.
And Assis, obviously you guys can't see on screen, but all I've seen of Assis is that he sat there. He's got his Reebok shoes. Mm-hmm. He's got Jurassic World Evolution on his PlayStation in front of him, and he's got an original PlayStation Dino Crisis. So he's living the high life right now.
And he's eating something that looks tasty. I can't tell what it is.
Bumpy.
Oh, and he has Bumpy.
Yeah. What are you eating? Oh.
Did he really just?
Oh my god! It really just froze him entirely.
It actually just froze. I got a frozen Assis right now.
I guess
that's as good a time as any to wrap it up.
And tune in next time to find out what he was eating.
Yeah, we will. We'll start the episode with that. No, but seriously, thank you for listening to the InGeneral podcast. Head to DjurassicOutpost.com for more news and information regarding the franchise. Pretty much everything we try and cover on there. The website URL/podcast will get you all of our listening options. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean. I don't know. There's so many. We're also obviously on YouTube. I don't know if you're on the move. Maybe Spotify is the option.
Yeah, leave us a like.
Leave us.
I don't know how it works, but I'm sure that
whichever platform.
I'm sure that's a positive move. So.
Like if you're on Spotify or Apple or something like that, it's a review. So obviously, we're only accepting 4 stars and up for the reviews.
We're very.
And that's out of 5.
We've got high standards,
We delete anything that's lower than
Can you delete reviews? I don't think you can.
Believe so. No,
that'd be a flawed system.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. But guys, thank you for listening to the InGeneral podcast. Chris and Frozen Assis, it was lovely to speak to you guys.
Yep, absolutely.
Catch you on the next one.
I was going to answer for Assis also, but that's not
All right.
All right, let's stop.
All right.